Tariffs. The story is far from over, and the reverberations, well, reverberate. Yes, they do. The rise of the hotel winery or the winery with a hotel, we will discuss. And what do Elizabeth Yount Rutherford, Georges Latour, and Andrei Cheslechev have in common? Well, you will know shortly. All that and more on this week's episode of This Week Uncorked. Well, hello and welcome to episode 65 of This Week Uncorked for Monday, October 13th, 2025. I am Brett Martin from Cork and Journey, and if you do not know, we are your number one source for corkage fees. We also have winery reviews, wine reviews, restaurant reviews, regional wine guides, and much, much more. And with that, let's get right on into this week's news. Well. Let's talk tariffs. We got a couple stories here, and they're interesting because most of the tariff situation has been resolved. But over in Wine Enthusiast, Alec Zakevic analyzes how the U.S. tariff, along with rising shipping costs, currency fluctuations, trade tensions, the reshaping of the global wine industry, all these pressures are squeezing margins and adding an unpredictability to the overall supply chains. The opening lines of the article, though, they really sum up the damaging and lasting effects of tariffs because they're not that horrible right now. But from the article, when the news broke about the Trump administration's threats to impose a 200% tariff on European wines, Jenny Lefcourt, president and co-founder of Jenny and Francois Selections, was hiking in the Grand Canyon. From the trail, she called her office and froze all shipments. 200% would have put me out of business, Lefcourt says. After months of back and forth, the levy eventually settled at 15%. Still, the damage was done for all stakeholders in the wine and spirits world. Trust eroded between producers, importers, and the federal government. Margins collapsed across the whole world. The future is shaky for anyone who can't lower prices. The article's well worth the read because it really delves into, you say you're going to do something, you don't do that thing. But the changes and the adaptations that people had to do are still really, really, really hurting people. So well worth the read, and I definitely would take a look at that if you get a chance. And then following up on that was another tariff story that kind of ties into this. And this is over at the drinks business and kind of continuing to cover the shift in the whole global wine industry under tariffs. They're reporting about another repercussion. U.S. fine wine buyers are pulling back in a manner likened to the exodus of the Asian wine buyers from the global markets in 2010. They're talking about here is basically China. They're really into wine, and they were just buying a ton of wine. There was a little economic downturn. They didn't buy a lot of French wine, and it kind of hurt the market. But the piece argues that basically the withdrawal of U.S. demand after the Trump-era tariffs may be one of the sharpest reversals in the fine wine trade. So again, very, very, very interesting how these dynamics just, even though it's not that much right now, it's really kind of affected everything. So from the article, in a recent webinar, LiveX, that's the London International Vintners Exchange, by the way, kind of a stock market for wines where you're buying and trading real wines through them. They're bonded and guaranteed. The LiveX's Market Analysis of Market Intelligence, that's a title, Sophia Gilmore, said that the importance of U.S. wine buyers has perhaps not been fully realized until their exodus, noting that it was almost akin to that of Asian buyers in the late 2000s. Outlining and defining trends this year, Gilmore noted that at the start of this year, the outlook was positive, with traded volumes up, prices seeing minimal declines, and an area of positivity in the market. The first quarter looked solid, and we saw some stability. A recovery, or at least sideways movement, looked likely. However, this changed in March with the threat of trade tariffs, and immediately U.S. buyers, whose market share had grown to 35% of traded value in 2024, withdrew all their bids. Traded volumes dropped, and soon after, so did prices. And I will tell you, the prices in Bordeaux are plummeting, and I think this eventually will correct itself, but the economic damage done by the announcement of the tariffs, whether they happen or not. The trust we talked about in the first article, you had people marking up, forget wine, people wiping up French oak wine barrels were being, huge tariffs were being added to those. Kind of on and on and on and on and on. And people paid those prices. And so it's going to take a while for things to kind of settle all the way back down. And moving on now with happier news. Over at Wine Enthusiast, Tina and I love a good winery hotel, and Wine Enthusiast is exploring the growth of tourism, fueling this new hybrid technology. It's not new. The article's a little way off the mark. They're basically talking about travelers seeking new and immersive experiences, how this is a new thing. And the writer, interestingly enough, is kind of talking about how, she's aged. She just wants to go to a hotel that has a winery attached to it, because the days of going to 2-3 wineries and then I looked at her picture. She didn't look that old, man. So I'm going to leave her name out, but you can check the article out. But anyway, there was a good point in the article. So from the article, global wine tourism is expected to grow 13% by 2034. That's interesting in and of itself. A little sidebar here. With all the decline, we're saying, hey, in the next 9 years, global wine tourism is going to go up. Some analysts got paid big bucks for that. Anyway, back to the article. While hotels that make their own wines are nothing new, the wine tourism boom has fueled the category of accommodations that let guests play winemaker and student all at once in some of the world's most prestigious wine regions. According to research from Future Market Research, the desire for personalized and immersive wine experiences are fueling wine tourism's expansion. It's the reason why, in August, I traveled to the heart of Piedmont to Villa La Madonna, a boutique hotel surrounded by its own rolling Barbera vines, to enjoy regionally focused tastings and classes from the comfort of one place. Very cool. It is cool. And I do like the kind of the hotel winery kind of thing. It's especially nice. If you've got some great ones. I mean, we've written about a lot of these. Just recently, when we were in Tuscany, we visited the San Felice Winery. We went there and we're like, this winery is sitting in the middle of a resort. Oh, and this resort has a Michelin star restaurant attached to it as well. And so we weren't staying there. We had an Airbnb kind of way out in the countryside. It was probably 15, 20 minutes to get to San Felice. We're like, hey, this is pretty good. And what do? We ended up going to their spa and getting some massages. And we ended up going to the winery, of course. And we ended up dining at their restaurant. So, hey, had we been staying there, life would have been a little easier. But pretty cool across the board. In Paso Robles, there's Allegretto Winery, which has Allegretto wines. It's a vineyard resort. It's got a nice tasting room. It's a lovely hotel, and you got the Cielo restaurant and bar. But again, you're not gonna just go there and do one tasting. Anyway, you're gonna get out and explore, right? You're gonna head over to Clos Celine and check them out, since they're just down the street, and have one of their rosés. Hang on a second. Mm-hmm. Or you can go to, if you're in Mexico, the El Cielo Resort. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful resort. It has its own winery. It has a couple of restaurants. But again, you're not going to go all the way down to Valle de Guadalupe and just go to El Cielo and go, I'm just hanging out here. Anyway, Hacienda Guadalupe's another one. Got a winery, restaurant. They're all cool. This is everywhere. I mean, there are so many of these now where it's like, hey, let's add something else on. And even if it's small, you look at some of these like Gray family wineries or Barton family wineries down in Paso. They're another one. They've added kind of some bungalows off to the side. Anyway, just kind of seeing it more and more. Maybe they've only got 2-3 rooms, so they've got something. But hey, you're a member. You want to stay there. I mean, there's a little winery in, talked about it, Galante Vineyards in Carmel by the Sea. And above the winery, they've got like a little studio apartment that they own. And if you're a member, you can stay there. It's convenient, especially there. You're downtown Carmel by the Sea. You just pop down your stairs and walk around and taste wines and shop and have a good time. But I do like it. It's nice. And so there you go. Cool article. Gave me an excuse to talk about a whole bunch of other stuff. And wrapping things up, kind of a friend of the show super plug here. I saw a press release in Wine Business about Afterwords wine. So this is a shout out to Anton van de Plas. He actually, if you go and you check the which one of these fingers over here, right above me, right here. That's a link to interview we did when Anton was actually kind of one of the main guys over at Gandona, and he would do all the tours and tastings and was kind of the front man for Gandona over there doing some great stuff. And that's a beautiful winery. Well, he left there, formed his own label. He's sourcing grapes from various vineyards. And, he's got himself a killer winemaker. Julien Fayard is his winemaker over there, and just really, really killing it. So he's released a wine called the Beckstoffer Georges III. That's a vineyard. And what's he calling his? That's what he's calling it, the Beckstoffer Vineyard Georges III. So this vineyard is really, really cool, and it ties together my thing at the beginning of the show. So a little bit about this vineyard. It's one of Napa Valley's most revered sites. It's a piece of living history. Basically, it was planted in 1895 by Elizabeth Yount Rutherford. Yountsville, Rutherford, there you got it, those families. And developed by Georges de Latour. Okay, another name that rings a bell, in 1928, and then launched into fame by Andrei Cheslyshev. He's the king, the founder of wine. Like, the guy's a legend in Napa, passed away quite a few years ago. But in the 60s, he took this 300-acre GIII plot in the heart of Rutherford, and it is still going and produces some exceptional Cabernet Sauvignon. So anyway, wanted to give a shout out from Anton here. I'll do it quickly from the press release. Working with the fruit from the Beckstoffer Georges III is a winemaker's dream. Shared Julien Fayard, whose 2 decades of experience include acclaimed projects across Napa, Sonoma. This site imparts an unparalleled intensity and refinement of the Cabernet. For the GIII, we focused on gentle extraction and precise élevage to highlight its innate elegance, ensuring it is delightful now as it will be in 20 years. It's a wine that speaks volume about place and patience. The chapter series, really cool thing Anton is doing, represent Afterwords wine commitment to terroir-driven storytelling. So each release that they're going to be doing is going to be illuminating a unique vineyards narrative. Future chapters will explore other Beckstoffer benchmark sites, continuing the brand's pursuit of wineries to transcend ordinary. It's a very limited production. 2023 is only available through Afterwords wine website. You can check it out. I actually ended up buying a few bottles, just kind of across the board to see what they had here, including this one. They should be arriving shortly, so I'll see how they are. I've got high expectations because this actually scored a 97-point nod from the International Wine Report. So, the IWR, they're not one of the major ones, but they're pretty good. They're getting their name out there, so we'll see how close it is. It's going to be here any day now. So anyway, and that will wrap up our news. And with that, let's get to the wine and winery of the week. All right. Château Mont-Thabor. So crazy. Tina and I are staying in Chateauneuf-du-Pape. We're in a little Airbnb. And, you kind of go to Google Maps like, hey, what's around me? And it literally says like 200 yards from us is this winery, Château Mont-Thabor. I'm like, I can't get to it. So you basically walked out the front of our property, walked down, and then you just kind of walked up a road, and there you were. This is a small family-run estate. It's in Bédarrides. Bédarrides, you can pronounce that for me, which is where we were staying. But it's actually all of his grapes and all of his vineyards are up in Châteauneuf-du-Pape. He does have a few, actually, I should say, over in Côte-d'Or. Vincent Bremond was the man kind of just showing us around. Fanny Schellen is actually starting to take over. That's his daughter. They have been around a long time. This was started in 1881, and this is a family-run winery. We walked in. It was just us. Here's us with, the guy, the father is currently making wine, doing some stuff. His daughter wasn't there. She was up on another winery she's doing work with. But they had some really, really nice stuff. So if you were there, this is an out of the way. You would never find it. One of those crazy places we're stopping into. Beautiful tasting. We did barrel tastings. We tasted 3, just kept opening wine. Shout out Vincent, a lovely human being. Great time. Those are one of those magical little things when you just trip into a place and it's just you and the owner winemaker, and you're having a great time. So, and with that, let's, for our wine of the week, we'll talk about the 2021 Château Mont-Thabor, Chateauneuf-du-Pape. Gave it 91 points, $52 a bottle. straightforward, good wine, just straight up black cherry, blackberry, kind of got that cigar box spice. It saw a little bit of new French oak. Anyway, it's a really, really, really nice wine. I think I would sit on that bottle. I do have some coming, and I think I would probably sit on that for another 5 years. But super nice wine. So anyway, if you're there, a little bit out of the way, you will be the only people there. You will have a lovely experience. Check it out. And with that, let's move on to our restaurant corkage of the week. Closeline, Paso Robles, Rosé. Good. All right, let's move on to Truffle and Vin. This is also in Chateauneuf-du-Pape. Cool little restaurant based on truffles. If you like truffles, you will love this restaurant. It is everything truffles. He's got a little truffle tour he does. It's kind of in the back of the restaurant there. Every dish can be truffleized and in a big, big, big way. Nice wine selection. So whatever you're eating, it's like you're going to put some black truffle on this guy knows his truffles. He makes all of his own products in the back. One of those dining experiences. I love truffles, and everything in this place is truffled. So if you do, you will like it very much. We went there for lunch, enjoyed it so much, we went back for dinner. And so you can't go wrong. It's Truffle and Vin, and it is in the center of Chateauneuf-du-Pape, but kind of in this beautifully new little roundabout they did there with a crazy little Chateauneuf-du-Pape sign. Wasn't there a few years ago. It's there now. Looks great. So really reasonable pricing too, like, $30, $40 for a dish, less than that, $20. So reasonably priced. Worth checking out. Heart of Chateauneuf-du-Pape. No corkage. Sorry. You gotta drink the wine they have there. All right, well, that is going to wrap up another episode of This Week Uncorked. As always, we would love it if you would subscribe to us on YouTube channel and follow us on your favorite social media app. Until next, also, check out, since we're all Chateauneuf-du-Pape this week, check out that interview we did with Rami Jean over at Chateauneuf. It is really, really good. So anyway, at least I think it is. Until next week, everybody. Cheers.